I know that so many of you guys are invested in this cheese journey just as much as I am, and there's really no progress yet. So I was hoping to have made some cultured butter by now and some cheese. That has just not happened. I did get my cheese book in, and I will link this down below for you guys because this book teaches you how to do it, and I like this book. So if you're wanting to learn the way to do it with raw cheese, and you want to use not cultures. So if you don't want to have to rely on cultures from Cultures for Life, I think is the one that most people use, but you don't have to rely on the cultures for this book. But I will say, one thing that I wish I would have looked at is the volume in this book, because it does recommend he does 5 gallons at a time. And I can understand that whenever you're making cheese, you do need to have a big volume, because essentially 1 gallon of milk is going to equal 1 pound of cheese is the end product that you're going to get. So if you have 5 gallons of milk, which is what he usually does in all of his recipes, then you're going to end up with 5 pounds of cheese, like a 5-pound cheese wheel. But the issue is we only have 1 milk cow. So at max right now, we're getting about 2 gallons a day. And to be honest, I'm not sure if we're ever going to get much more than that. She was a heifer. This is her first calf. So we do milk with a machine, and her teats are really small. I do good to put 2 fingers on them, and Ben can only fit 1. So we do use a milk machine. Otherwise, it would take us literally an hour to milk her out. And with the milk machine, it takes about 15 minutes. So it's a lot easier on her and on us. We will probably be able to hand milk her eventually. But for now, we are doing the milk machine, and it does good. We're still calf sharing. He'll get the milk for 12 hours, and then we pull him off, and he'll stay in the barn for 12 hours, and he gets put back out through the day. So that's how we get the morning milking, is we just take him out at night. So back to what I was saying is that we only get 2 gallons of milk a day, and with cheese making, you are not supposed to use old milk. So they consider old milk anything that is more than 24 hours old. But to be honest, I think I'm just going to have to tweak the recipes that are in this book and the ones that I find online. Because once you put milk in the refrigerator, then it gets exposed to cold-loving bacteria. And this book talks all about that. I've learned so much from this book. It is a lot to learn, so I'm kind of glad that I'm not ready to make cheese yet, but it's a lot more than I thought it was going to be honest. So this book actually recommends that you do not decrease the recipe size, and most recipes do say that, even if you find them online, just because they've been tested for that amount of milk, and the temperature consistency needs to stay the exact same. But when you reduce the milk, it can heat up faster and the whole 9 yards. And also measuring out the rennet is one of the biggest things. So I did get me some animal rennet. I went to the Amish and got me some. So I'm ready with the rennet, but I'm going to try and do the Clabber starter. If you guys have access to raw milk, then this is the perfect time, because mine is not even finished yet, to go ahead and get a Clabber starter going. And you do have to have raw milk to get this started, but once you have one started, you can feed it with milk from the grocery store. So as long as it's not ultra pasteurized. But mine is just, I don't want to shake it because I'm pretty sure I messed up my last one. This is the second time I've tried this, and I don't think I let it sit long enough. Last time I let it sit for 4 days, and it did not turn out. It didn't get thick, but I think what is happening is our house is too cold. So right now we keep it 67, 68, and I think everybody's videos that I've been watching and everybody I've been learning from, I think their house is more warm, so it's taking ours longer. So this lid is barely on here. It's just sitting here. And all this is fresh milk straight from our milk cow. We brought it in here, put it in a jar. The lid is just barely on there, and that is just to keep anything from getting in, dust or anything like that. And you want it to be able to get air. So this has just been sitting here. It's been there for 3 days now. So it is not, I'm gonna try and show you guys. Okay, I had to turn the brightness down so you guys could see, but this up here is just the cream on top, and then this is the milk in the bottom. But you want it to be just fresh milk. You don't want to skim it or anything like that. And if you turn it, you can see right here, it's not solid. It's still liquid in there. And I don't want to shake it because I shook my last one, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened to it. But, and also I gave up on it too quick. So I'm not going to shake this one, and I'm just going to set this back over here. But it does need to sit longer because it is not thick. But what I was saying is that the Clabber needs to set up thick like a yogurt, essentially. So If you want to come along on the cheese making process with me, then you still have time to make a Clabber starter because mine is not even done yet. So hopefully by the next video, it will be made. And not every video is going to be about cheese from now on. So if you're tired of hearing about cheese, then just skip this video and probably the next. And today's Wednesday, so I'm hoping that by Thursday or Friday, this has set up. But it really just depends on the temperature in your house. And like I said, ours is not very hot. So maybe I need to turn the heat up or something. But essentially, whenever the Clabber starter gets established, then you can pour out like 90% of it and then leave 10% in the jar, and then you're going to add fresh milk back to it, or that's whenever you would add your pasteurized milk to it. But you do have to have raw milk initially, and then you can transfer over to store-bought milk. And a lot of people use this just like buttermilk. So it is Clabber, it is thick. It's like yogurt, so it is literally what it says. It's a clabbered milk. So it gets super thick, and if you just do this with regular store-bought milk, it's going to spoil. But this milk behind me, it is raw milk. It does not spoil. It should essentially just smell like really sweet butter. As soon as this is established Clabber, then I will start discarding 90% and then feeding it. I do not think that I will ever put mine in the refrigerator. I'll try to always keep it fed with fresh milk. From everything that I've learned, once you put it in the refrigerator, you just need to go ahead and start a new one. And I could be wrong on this, so don't take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you what I've learned because I've learned from other people just here on YouTube, blogs, and this book. So I could be completely wrong just because I'm just telling you what I know, but none of this is from experience yet. But as I learn, I will continue to update you guys. And in this book, he talks about a whey starter instead of a Clabber starter, and I actually did not even read it because I'd already made up my mind that I want to do the Clabber starter because it is whole, and that is what most people seem to have the most success with. But instead of using the whey starter, I will just replace that with the Clabber starters. So I'm kind of pulling from everything that I've learned and putting it together to make sense to me. And I'm honestly just gonna have to try and see what works because everybody's experience is so different. This video is going to be a little bit all over the place, but on this particular day when I was filming, I was also working on sealing the floor that goes from the kitchen into the pantry. So I thought I would give you guys an update on this space and just show you guys where we are with it. But so far, we have just not really been working on it just because it's spring and we're spending a lot of time outside. But we've gotten a lot of rain in the past week or so, and it's just too wet to do anything outside, so I figured it was the perfect time to go ahead and seal this floor. For the most part, this little hallway that goes into the pantry is finished. We just need another sheet of beadboard so that we can frame out the stud that is still exposed. And then I need to paint that, but we still have to build the pulley system for the cellar door because we're still trying to figure it out. It is harder than we ever imagined it would be to figure out. And also, if you see in the clips coming up that there's bigger gaps in the floor than we were hoping, but even with the special hinges that we had to get that go out and up at the same exact time, we still had to leave a pretty big gap in the wood. So it is what it is, and I'm just so thankful that we did not lose our cellar, so I can live with some cracks over no cellar at all. We've also been working on our chicken coop and run. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the progress over there, but it was tan and we painted it white. We want to eventually get everything painted to match the house. That will be the end goal. So since the chicken coop does have brown accents, we're going to eventually paint the wood, the brown accents black, and then the roof we're going to put some black metal on it. But we just needed to quit raining long enough so that we can actually finish that out. But the chickens, we no longer have problems with them in the barn, and it has been so nice for collecting eggs. We just go in there, grab them out of there, and then it makes it easier so that we have more to sell. But they do get pretty dirty, so we are looking into trying to get one of the nest box that whenever they lay the egg, it rolls to the outside of the nest box so that you don't even have to open it. That would be a dream because they are honestly so muddy, especially since the run is pretty much all mud right now since it's been raining so much. Up until now, we've been making what would be considered sweet cream butter, and I let the cream set out at room temperature for probably about 6 hours, as long as it takes to come up to as close to room temperature as possible, because I do it in this manual butter churn, and it's the fastest way that I've found. It's the least messy, and I've tried it in the blender, the food processor, and the KitchenAid, and so far this has been my favorite method to make butter. It just seems to go a lot quicker, and I can put 3 quarts in at a time, but on this particular day I was doing a gallon of cream, so I broke it up in 2 different batches, and I just feel like it contains the best. So I do always do it in this manual butter churn. But if you get it brought up to room temperature first, then you only have to churn each batch for about 5 minutes. Once the Clabber starter is established, I do want to start making cultured butter. And essentially, it's just a 1:50 ratio. And you do 1 part of cultured, which would be the clabbered milk. And then you do 50 parts milk. And you let it set overnight or until it is really thick and set up just like the clabbered milk would be. Essentially kind of like a yogurt, that thick. And then some people refrigerate it after they get it to the clabbered point. They refrigerate it for 12 hours. But also then some people don't. So I'm not really sure what the benefit is there. I need to do some more research. And if you know what the benefit is, then let me know, because from everything I've seen is you refrigerate it and then you have to pull it back out and let it come up to room temperature again so that you don't have to churn it as long. So if somebody knows, then please let me know. But one of the biggest things that I've seen with the cultured butter, and I cannot wait to make it just because we honestly don't use that much buttermilk, but making sweet cream butter produces so much buttermilk. And with the cultured cream, it seems to produce so much less buttermilk and you get so much more butter. So I'm really hoping that's the case for us. It seems to be that way in all the videos and blog posts that I've read so far. So I'm really hoping that's the case. But also, whenever you make sweet cream butter the way that I'm making it today, essentially you're not even left with buttermilk. You still need to culture it to get a true buttermilk. So I typically let ours sit out on the counter for 24 hours. And it does get thick, but not near as thick as what you would want it to with a culture. So you can buy a cultured buttermilk at Kroger, Walmart, wherever you get buttermilk. Just make sure that it's cultured, and you can add a couple drops into your buttermilk and then just do that every single time. Just keep one going and just continue adding it into buttermilk. So honestly, this is the closest thing. Like if you've done sourdough before or sourdough starter, then I feel like you will get the hang of the Clabber, the culture, and all of the cheese and just milk products, just because they are so similar. Like with sourdough, it's the same exact thing. It's essentially fermenting. With the culture, it's fermenting. So it is very, very similar. And even whenever it comes to the feeding and discarding of the Clabber starter, it's the same thing as a sourdough starter. So it honestly blows my mind, but I'm so glad I started with sourdough a couple years ago. That way now I have that experience and I know. So it does make it a little bit easier in that aspect to understand. Our entire family has been wanting to try our butter, so I wanted to get something that was more uniform. So I found these silicone butter molds on Amazon. I'll link them down below for you guys. But they have like the tablespoon marks on them, so I thought that was really handy. But it's so nice to be able to just pop these in the freezer, and then once they're frozen, you pull them back out, and then I wrap mine in wax paper. But some people do parchment paper. I have a lot of wax paper on hand, so I need to use it up. It's really nice to have the exact stick size that you get at the grocery store, and that way 4 of them equals a pound. It's super easy for recipes, but I do need to work on getting them in the molds because there's a lot of air pockets in the bottom, so maybe next time I'll take a butter knife and smush it down in there better. That way they come out, because as you can see, it's pretty holey on top whenever I flip it over, and that's just because of the air pockets down in there. But as long as Dolly is producing milk, I do plan on making as much butter as we can, just so that we can stock our freezer with it, and I do not have to buy butter, because we spend so much money on butter every single week whenever we're buying it from the store, just because we do like to get grass-fed butter, and it is so expensive. But that is going to be it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys will like and subscribe.